Hello, good morning all. Myself, Dr. Ramchandra Prasad. I'm faculty at IIIT Hyderabad. Today I'm going to talk about how to create a database from literature. So before going to this part, I'd like to give a brief introduction about me. Currently, I'm working as a assistant professor at Lab for Spatial Informatics, IIIT Hyderabad. I hold PhD in environmental science with remote sensing and GIS. I worked on phytodiversity assessment of tropical rainforest of North Andaman, mostly characterizing biodiversity of Andaman Nicobar, specifically on North Andaman Islands using GIS and remote sensing. Basically, my master's is in botany, and I'm more into forestry studies. In comparison to forestry, I also with other parts of domains. Uh, I worked in different parts in different domains, especially worked in meteorological remote sensing group, worked in SACOM in landscape ecology group. I hold a PhD from National Remote Sensing Center. I work in forestry and ecology division. At IIIT, I teach courses like spatial informatics, remote sensing, ecological and geospatial modeling, environment engineering, few selected topics, environmental science and science and technology, and ecoinformatics and human values. In different semesters, I teach basic topics. Primarily, my research interest is on application of geospatial tools in forest ecosystems. That is my main domain. Working on island ecology, climate change, land use land cover changes, mostly on urbanization patterns, and again on wetland ecology and in integrated water resource management studies. I also be part of capacity building programs in open source geospatial tools. So after my joining at IIIT in 2007, I started working with in these capacity building programs and conducted various capacity building programs more related to OpenGem and Elvis. Both are open source softwares. Elvis image processing software and OpenGem GIS software. Currently, most people are using QGIS rather than OpenGem. My primary interest is with raster data sets, that is in the remote sensing, and I work on hyperspectral data sets and also on thermal data sets. So these actually show the domain of working with vegetation, lake dynamics, and in land use land cover research. I have some publications, a good number of publications in various international journals, mostly in forestry, wetlands, and my primary interest is more into not only this forestry thing but also in the capacity building and development of open source geospatial tools. I joined in IIIT as I mentioned in from since 2011. I started giving this kind of capacity building programs in OpenGem and in LVs at various universities, national and in international also. So the current one what we conducted is a workshop about Elvis at in Sabargama University in Sri Lanka on 30th November 2018. So apart from this thing, I was also into development of various open source tools. So currently I have five students with one MS and four PhD. Out of four, three awarded and one actually ongoing. So one with the Forest Fire Danger Index worked on Uttarakhand, one on modeling urbanization pattern. So the process of prediction of urbanization in future, and one student worked on using hyperspectral data sets in characterizing the tree species of Araku forest, eastern Ghats. So current student actually working on assessing the impact of forest fires on climate change using deep learning techniques. Apart, I also has guided different interns. So since I think you are from agriculture background, one student worked on this Caesar aeratum, chickpea distribution using ecological model, and one student actually worked on used various species distribution models and species distribution mapping of species of Solanum as well using Riva.js, one more open source tool for doing the prediction of this potato distribution. So apart from this, now we'll go to the current topic. I hope to what is actually your level of GIS. But firstly, if you see the main sources of data collection for the GIS is existing general references and thematic maps. You assume that you have some already existing maps. So currently we also have some digital maps, something like what we get from ISRO, maybe from the forest NRSC, Bhuvan, where you can download different digital maps of either the land is land cover of an area, or you may also have some kind of already maps which are in the hard copies. So if you have hard copies, normally we do digitization, convert those hard copy map into digital format by the digitization process. And if you have already digital thing that we can directly use, of course there may be sometimes variation in the projection parameters. Apart from this, people are also using ground survey and positioning. So what actually you are going to do as a mobile data collection, it is also a part of this ground survey. Usually, people collect the data using GPS. We also have differential GPS to get the accurate measurements of the particular location. Or we also have some kind of surveying methods like the theodolite, which actually used for measuring the distance and the different coordinates in a particular area. Apart from this, we also have remote sensing data. So now there are so many free and open data sets are available, ranging from 1 kilometer spatial resolution to almost 10 meters spatial resolution, which are free of cost. So there are sites like Earth Explorer, from which actually you can download all those remote sensing data sets. So once you download data sets, you have to process it to extract the information. Then the fourth level is the something already there are some kind of reports available, and from those reports actually you are going to create some secondary data. So now in this current lecture, I am trying to show you using some kind of publications. That is, if you have a good literature review of a particular research problem, so using that from those publications, we can actually create database. So now I'll show this with one kind of example which I have worked on. Basically, my interest is to work with the distribution of algae. Algae are the aquatic vegetation mostly found in microscopic to macroscopic level. So particularly, I want to see how these algae are distributed in different parts of Andaman Nicobar Islands. So that is the study area. So initially, if you define your own any problem, then you start searching literature. So I have various papers which are published in different journals or also from the different sources. I have collected some papers related to distribution of this algae in different parts of Andaman Nicobar. So now the challenge with this thing is we don't have accurate geographical coordinates of that particular location. Or in some cases, they may mention the location where they did the survey. So if we have that kind of geographical coordinates showing latitude and longitude, that will be easy for us to create a database. In the absence of such kind of database, where in the paper they just mention only the name of the place or with some kind of nearby landmarks. Suppose if you see one paper here, this is a paper talking about seaweed resources, where actually this was showing the distribution of few algae species in Andaman Nicobar. So the study collected around 55 species of seaweeds. Seaweeds are the macroscopic algae. So now in different parts of Andaman they have collected, but here there are no coordinates. So they say Diglipur, harvestable quantities in for alginophytes. They said they are identified along the western side of Diglipur jetty or coastal area of Table Island. So now these are some kind of indicators. So where actually approximately we can identify where actually exactly these species are identified. Now, why we need to have this kind of literature mapping is currently whatever the data sets you are collecting using mobile or any GPS thing, that is only limited to current time. So if you want to compare your current time data sets with the past, we need to have a kind of baseline of the historical data sets. So may not be accurate, but we try to create some kind of database about the distribution of any species using this kind of literature survey. So if you see here now in Maya Bandar, they said it is found in Middle Andaman, Ave, Sound Island. So mostly since these are algae things, we try to select the area what they are specifying in these things, and mostly we try to map towards the coastal area near to the shore areas because these are the algae that are mostly found along the coast. So like that, now this is a one paper where actually I don't have any ground coordinates or the geographical coordinates. So what we can do for this kind of thing is we can have the map initially. Suppose this is actually entire India map and all these are freely available shape files. So basic thing is our interest is on the Andaman Nicobar Islands. So I'll try to identify the name of the island, what actually it was mentioned in that paper, and try to see or put that location approximately in that part. So I create a layer with something like putting a point here saying that okay this is found here. For example, if you see here I created one location map where actually it says that this is the location. So if you see there are few locations for which I don't have coordinates. So those coordinates actually I have created using this shape file. So saying that this is the Stewart Island where actually on the side we find they have identified these algae species. You can also see the attribute table showing the location name. So what is the location name and what are the x and y coordinates of that particular location. So combining both these ones, so this is a paper where actually I don't have any coordinates. There is one more paper where actually they have clearly defined what are the coordinates of these islands. So they say 11 degrees, 39 minutes and 35 seconds. So now if this kind of data set is available with along with the coordinates, then it will be easy for us. So now we have a mixture of both data sets with coordinates and without coordinates. So first thing is actually we have to collect all this literature review and put them in a Excel file to create a database. So initially when I created the database actually that entire thing is without any coordinates. So later on I sorted out and I am using the pivot table. I try to see what is the species and where it is found in which island. Then I integrated the location along with the coordinates as I have collected. So for Ariel Bay, this is the location. This can be location what I created or in some cases it is defined in the research papers. So now see we have an entire database. So around 1200 individuals are identified from different literature sources and we have now coordinates. So these coordinates are in degree decimals. So whatever the coordinates we are getting in degree, minutes and seconds, usually we'll convert them into degree decimal things. So once you are completed with all cleaning everything, now we can convert this Excel file into a space shape file or the GIS layer. So already I created, but anyhow I'll show you first. So if you see, this is a file what I created. Now this talks about actually the distribution of various algae across Andaman Nicobar Islands. So this database, this layer actually is created using a text file, that Excel file. So to create this, you can have something like layer, add layer. So add delimited text layer. So in this, we have to browse the text file. So the text file here is algae map data. Open. So now default it takes it is a comma separated value because we are using this delimited text file. And here actually we have to give input of latitude and longitude. So the one first is the longitude. So we take longitude. Then in this field, y field, we put latitude. So we are not using DMS coordinates, so we need not check this thing. So now we have latitude, longitude. So longitude, latitude. What is the species name, genus, family, in which district? So all database what actually we have created in our Excel file, and actually we can convert them into a spatial file. So if you say OK, so it talks about what is the coordinate system it has to consider. So you can go with the default. So this is the new file what I have created. So now you can see here actually how a different location. So mostly now this kind of mapping process gives us an idea that only this side of the coast is most explored compared with the other side. So mostly north, south, and eastern and the western side. So western part of the islands are not that much explored in comparison to eastern coast of Andaman Nicobar Islands. Similarly, here also you can see in Nicobar, which is a Great Nicobar. So some points actually I put manually and collected the coordinates, and some actually from the literature. These coordinates may not be really accurate, but actually will give some kind of distribution about these species in the entire Andaman Nicobar. So now once database is created, you can also check the attribute table. So you can see here the species. We also have the author affiliation from where actually the database is created, and in different parts of Andaman Nicobar. So now using this actually we can do a different kind of analysis. So one figure I have created is to see how the distribution is there in entire Andaman Nicobar. So you can see here, this is actually what I shown you at this level. So individually if you zoom, you can see what is the distribution of these algae across Andaman Nicobar Islands. Now the Excel data also help us in identifying what is the dominant one, in which area we find more number of these species. So such kind of analysis can be done using the Excel sheet. So it can be something your research work, what we can do using this Excel file in addition to creation of spatial layer. So now once you have created this layer, if you want to superimpose this vector layer over Google Earth, you can save it as make save as. So instead of history shapefile, you can save this as a KML file, keyhole markup language. So this keyhole file actually we can overlay on Google Earth. So you have to give the name. Already I have created one algae KML and I put as a algae1.kml. So now once this file is saved, Now we can visualize this file over Google Earth. This is the one way actually how we can create a literature GS data from literature. So just please wait. We'll try to overlay our spatial data set on this Google file. We say here file open AML file. So now here you can see how our map actually overlaid on Google Earth, but actually we can see a real ground of the Andaman Nicobar and the spatial location of those algae. See, this is a point data set, but actually within this location we have different varieties of algae. So now it is up to the research of the students where actually you want to see in which location only one kind of algae is present, or in which location there is a possibility of co-occurrence of different kinds of algae. That means if A is present, there is a possibility that B is present, or whenever A is present, B is absent. So the possibility of exclusion or the inclusion, what you say, the association of the species can be understood within this data set. So the purpose of using this spatial file is to show the location of those algae in different parts of the island. And apart from this, I also try to work on something on ornamental fishes. So this is the one paper we presented, where actually the first thing is the same. We have to collect the literature pertaining to fishes of different parts of the country. The study was more focused on West Bengal part, where actually we try to say a good literature as well as more ornamental fishes in this area. So before going to the mapping of the fishes in ornamental fishes in West Bengal, first thing is that I create a database of ornamental fishes for the entire country. So for this actually I have used the same shapefile of the country. I'll close this. I use the shapefile of the entire country where the focus is to show the distribution of ornamental fishes in the entire country. Um, yeah. So this is the file what I have created. If you see attributes, it basically shows there are no coordinates. So what I did is for file, I have added actually one more attribute column. This is the one way of creating a spatial database. So to the already existing shape file, we'll add one column and we name it as a call it as a location name or the place name, and we try to add the location. So for each location and what is the number, this actually came from literature survey. So that actually added to this thing where actually we can see creation of a layer that actually talks about in Lakshadweep Islands what is the percentage of number of species identified ornamental fishes in parts of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Kolleru, in Andhra Pradesh, Visakhapatnam, and in Northeast as well as in the West Bengal. So this actually shows a consolidated list of ornamental fishes, how they are distributed, and actually where it also shows the gap where the proper survey was not done or not recorded about these ornamental fishes. That is one thing. Second thing, using the database. So I'll show you database thing. So here there are no any points. The data is actually directly linked with the shapefile of the West Bengal, where actually I have overall final thing. What is the type of fish? and in which district it is available. So here in the UGS, actually I try to overlay or see the distribution of fish and its diversity. So I close this fish population. So we have the fish richness. Where if this is more for the West Bengal. So for each district, actually, I have created one attribute. I call that attribute as the column I have added fish diversity. So I have selected each district, and in the attribute table, I have entered what is the value. So now by this way, you can see here in which part of the West Bengal, which district of West Bengal we can see higher distribution of these ornamental fishes. I could not precisely locate the location of the fishes because the database is not available with respect to coordinates. So for entire district, because these are actually mostly from the freshwater, so from the entire district we are summing up and putting a point saying that in parts of this is actually Murshidabad. So in Murshidabad, actually there are 40 ornamental fishes. The diversity is 40. But if you see in parts lower, in this case, I think it is the Sundarbans. So here the diversity is south the 24 Parganas. The diversity is more where actually 107 ornamental fishes were recorded. So now we can create this kind of database and later on similarly we